Good afternoon again. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. First, the disclaimers before we get back to the JRC. If you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign, you will find pertinent links there in the description box. You should be able to use those to do a deep dive if that's something you would like to do. Trigger warning, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. I do use profanity. And when we talk about places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. So if you have a child that is 16 and younger that watches the channel, parental supervision is very much advised, alright? Okay, let's see what Jennifer has to say. I wish to share concerns. I appreciate the collaborative efforts and recent report and vision about the work that needs to be done to support families and communities. However, I still see in Kansas few opportunities for families to high-quality daycare for their child with needs, doctors that do autism screening on a regular basis that are embedded in well-child checks. I see state disability waivers that are over 10 years long. So what they're talking about is families, like I was mentioning, that are drowning right now. Just in typical care costs. That's not counting crisis situations, which we're going to be speaking a little bit here in the next sentence. Families are in crisis, birth through 6. My students' families struggle to get into developmental evaluations in a timely manner. That is still a massive problem. The wait is 9 months to over a year. Now, I haven't been reevaluated for the year yet, although this is my year. I'm going to have to go in and do another full functional behavioral assessment. But yeah, generally the wait lists when you are first getting properly diagnosed are insane. Insane. Okay? Things only went as fast as they did for me because of who my uncle was, because I was in a privileged situation. I will admit that. I'm not proud of it, but I will admit it. Other folks who did not have my uncle there in the background, looming, would have to wait nearly a year before getting proper diagnosis. And, by the way, you want to know what diagnosis looks like? Your kid has autism. They will probably never be able to live on their own. I'm going to give you a solid list of all the things that I'm going to stereotypically say that I don't think your child can do. Here's an ABA pamphlet. I shit you not. I shit you not. I know because I've been through it. Right? What is that going to do if there is a crisis situation while their kid is in the meantime still on the damn wait list for just a proper diagnosis? What are the supports there? Is there anything? Well, they're teachers. Special ed teachers are overworked and underfunded. Okay? They always have been, but especially right now. Many of them dip into their own wallets to provide supplies for their classrooms. They are not trained, nor do they have the expertise needed for situations like that. Let me continue. We have school systems in which special education is not fully funded. See, school systems are not in place to best support underdiagnosed and underserved students. These special ed teachers are overwhelmed. Their student-to-teacher ratio is abysmal. Just for starters. Just for starters. Okay? teachers' aides. If they have one in the classroom with them, they are exceptionally lucky. Exceptionally lucky. And even then, these teachers are not trained to screen and diagnose kids. Now, some of them in the more public schools may have had a little training to notice the signs of autism, but they don't have the things there at the school that your child's going to need service-wise while you're on that wait list. Right? Let's continue here. To sum up, no conformity in the medical community among pediatricians performing autism screenings. 2. Lack of evaluation teams set up to provide timely evaluations. 3. Lack of trained daycare staff. Don't get me started on that because that's across the board. It is appalling the lack of training that even with direct care staff or day center staff. How many staff I had to explain how my diagnosis worked in my unique situation. I should have been paid. There were times I felt like I was the one doing all the work. Thankfully, I am with someone who seems to be on my wavelength this time around. Thank God. Let that be a lesson. It's always okay to change your doctor if you know more about your diagnosis than they do. And if you have to explain to them what other treatment options are out there, find you another doctor. Just putting it out there. Number 4, lack of coordination in communities to provide awareness and access to services for individuals with autism. Here's the thing. Everybody and their mother is aware. The cockroach that is scuttling around somewhere hiding from the light has become aware of the autism, okay? We don't need awareness. We need acceptance and reasonable accommodations and assistive devices. Alright? Real simple. And number 5, teacher shortages. Special education teacher shortages 6. We need PSAs. I appreciate your work. Wishing you well. So she really just kind of cut through to all the problems within the public school sphere. The extended waiting list that goes straight to hell. Don't even get me started on the wait list that comes with other services, such as applying for Medicaid, just for an example. It is the stuff of nightmare fuel. Alright, we're moving on here. And we're going to see what Courtney has to say. Courtney says, I am a mom of a 16-year-old daughter with autism. I am deeply concerned about the lack of assistance and resources for helping individuals who have behavioral and mental health challenges in connection with their autism. What I have noticed is not that there isn't help. It's that you have to reach for it. Now that might be because I am an adult and it was 18 when I was finally properly diagnosed, and because it was done within the scope of Burrell, who provides behavioral health, mental health help, as well as the general autism treatment, I was kind of in a one-stop shop place. But the fact of the matter is, not all places are like Burrell. And you have a lot of people, they just diagnose. They know nothing about the mental health side of it. Maybe you can get a referral, and then you're on another nightmarish wait list. Let me go ahead and continue here. Far too often, as I've seen with my daughter, children and teens with autism have mental health crises, and there are not enough places to go for help. Mainly because our crises very much is different from the neurotypical's version of it. Tends to be more intense, more prolonged, and can go into things such as full-on meltdown. I know! I've done it! She continues, "This is very personal to me, as I have had to call the police when my daughter was aggressive, and there should have been other alternatives." And by alternatives, we do not mean the JRC. We mean actual alternatives without wait lists that will have you sitting there until you're in your 70s. Before you even begin to reach the number 5 slot. That may be sounding exaggerated. It's not, unfortunately. Let me continue. There should be crisis teams with compassionate, trained individuals and appropriate places for kids to go when they need help. The ER is not a place for a child with autism, yet that was the only option we were given. That happens in a lot of states. I may not like my state very much, and it is definitely a GOP hellscape, but in this one area, we kind of really do have a leg up. Because the biggest provider for the medical side of autism services has been Burl, and Burl has also always covered the areas of kids with mental health issues. So I got extremely lucky, but like she's saying here, that is not always the case. And getting into the mental health area and their wait lists, especially right now, considering what's going on in the world, she isn't wrong. And while you're waiting on a diagnosis, you should not be withheld from care, particularly in a crisis situation, just because you're still waiting on a list. We should not be leaving these families to drown while still waiting on getting into appropriate care. That's not okay. Right? This must change, as kids with autism deserve kindness, caring, and empathy, and they should never have to go to the ER because of their behavioral challenges. I am grateful my daughter is now getting the help she needs, but there are so many other kids and teenagers who are not, and still need more assistance and care. Thank you for the opportunity to share my experiences and suggestions. I am very grateful for your time and all that you do. Maybe we should get some people out here just to kind of take a good long look at the Burl model and to see if we can start replicating it out in these other areas. I mean, otherwise, everything she's saying here is right on the dot. Right on the dot. And on that note, we're going to go ahead and close out for this one, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel, and the few we do tend to get removed from time to time. So if you folks would be so kind, please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, don't forget to hit the comments, and make sure that you are still set up to receive notifications. We are going to be continuing on with Down the Rabbit Hole, the Snake Oil Salesman series. We don't want you all missing anything. I do appreciate your time, and as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea absolutely do hope you all have a good one. I will see you all next time. Bye-bye, everyone.